How are you feeling today? Are you ready to get in tune? Great, let's go. So, if you're with me today, hopefully that means you've learnt my 5 new music hall tunes. Have you? Shall we check together? So you should have learnt Any Old Iron, I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside, Don't Dilly Dally, Daisy Bell, and It's a Long Way to Tipperary. If you know them all, great. If you don't worry. Under this video, in the description, there's a link to all 5 of the songs. So once you've learnt them all, come back to me and you'll be ready to do the really exciting bit. So having a good old sing makes us feel great, doesn't it? But I think that when we get to sing for other people or perform in front of an audience, that's when the magic really happens. When you work really, really hard on something, like practicing and preparing for a performance, and then you get to show other people what you've done, and they give you a massive round of applause, and they tell you how brilliant you were, it makes you feel great. But it's not just us, the performers, that get to feel good. The audience feel great too, because they'll really enjoy your show. So, our 5 new music hall songs that we've learnt together, what do you reckon? Shall we put them together as a show and prepare to perform them for an audience? Yes! I was hoping you'd say yes. So, before we do that, there's a few things that we need to think about first, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing we need to do before we do anything else is make sure we know all of the songs really, really well. So you might want to take a little bit of time now to go back, go through all of the songs, sing each of them, and make sure you feel really, really confident. Make sure you know all the words and you can kind of sing them without really thinking about it. So once we know the songs really, really well, there's other things that we can do with them to make them a little bit more interesting for the audience. So the first thing we can do is we can add actions to our songs. Now sometimes we perform in completely on our own, which means we've got a bit of space to move around. But usually when we perform, there's lots of other people on the stage with us and not a lot of space. So the best thing to do is to keep your feet still and do all your actions with your arms and your upper body. I think it's a really good idea to try and make the actions fit what it is that you're singing about. And also try not to do too many, because number one, they're really, really difficult to remember, but also it can make you a little bit out of breath if you're doing too many actions, and that can make your singing not so great. I'll give you a quick example of what I mean, but you don't have to copy these ideas. You'll have loads of great ideas of your own. My old man said follow the van and don't dilly-dally on the way. Off went the cart with me own packed in it. I walked behind with me old cockle in it, but I dillied and dallied, dallied and dillied, lost my way and don't know where to roam. You can't trust the specials like the old time coppers if you can't find your way home. So there's a few ideas to get you started. You can use a couple of them, but I'm sure you'll have lots of great ideas of your own too. But also, did you notice that in the song there were parts of it where I didn't actually do any actions? So you don't have to do an action for every single line. Sometimes it looks really, really good if you just stand still. Another thing to think about, especially if there's a big group of you, is are you all going to sing on every song? Or if you wanted to change it up a little bit, perhaps you could have a soloist singing one of the songs. A soloist, or a solo, is when somebody sings just on their own. The soloist could sing part of a song on their own, or they could sing a whole song. Or if there isn't anybody who wants to sing completely on their own, perhaps you could have a small group, say 3 people singing a part of a song, or a whole song. So it's quite a big job there, isn't there? We've got to go back now to all 5 songs and decide what actions we're going to do for each of the songs. Then when you've practiced and practiced and practiced and you know it really well, and if you're performing with other people, you need to make sure they know all the actions too. Once you've done that, Come back to me and we'll think about the next bit. So now you know the songs and the actions really well, it's time to think about how we're actually going to present the songs to the audience and what our show is going to be. You could just sing the songs for the audience and that would be fine. Or you could maybe introduce each song by saying a little bit about what the song's about. But I think the most fun thing to do would be to make your show into an actual music hall performance. Now, music hall performances didn't just have singers singing songs. They also had comedians telling jokes, they had dancers, they maybe had acrobats. Wouldn't it be great to have some of those things in between each of your songs? And the other great thing about music hall is that the audience were always encouraged to join in. So because some of the songs are really short, when you get to the end of each song, you could maybe go, "Come on, join in!" and then sing it again, and hopefully the audience will join in with you. Phew, there's a lot to think about there, isn't there? Hopefully there's some people around you and you can have a little chat with each other and share ideas. You might want to get a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper, write some of the ideas down and start to think about what's going to be in your show. Come back to me once you've got your plan sorted and you're all happy. See you in a bit. If you've made it this far, you've done some really hard work, so well done. So far, you've learnt our 5 new songs. You've put the actions to those 5 songs and you know the actions really, really well. You've also thought about what you're going to do in between those songs and you've practiced those bits too. Have you run your show all the way through from the beginning to the end yet? If you haven't, make sure you do. Just to make sure that everything makes sense and also that each bit flows nicely into the next bit. So now for the really fun bit, the costumes. Costumes are really, really important in a show because they help you feel like you're being a character that's not yourself, but also they tell the audience a lot about your character too. Don't worry too much about this. Costumes can be big and over the top and flouncy, but they can also be really, really simple too. Ta-da! Instant music hall star. So gloves, a scarf, a hat, dead simple. And don't worry if you haven't got all 3, just the hat or just the gloves or just the scarf would work really well too. In the description underneath this video, there's some links to some photographs and some videos of other music hall performers as well to give you a few more ideas. Once you've worked out what your costumes are going to be, make sure that you do a couple of full practices wearing your costumes. This is called your dress rehearsal and it's really important because you've got to get used to how the costume feels when you're performing and make sure that you're comfortable. Once your costumes are sorted out and you want to do your dress rehearsal in them, you've got to think about where are we actually going to do our performance. If you're really lucky, you might have a stage with a curtain, which is perfect. But if you're like me, you might just have to stand in front of a boring old wall. So I found this scarf lying round. Don't know if you can see that, but it's the Union flag. And I think it'd be really, really good for our music hall songs because music hall was really popular during World War I and people were feeling really proud of Britain, so there was lots of people waving flags and lots of flags lying around. Another thing that looked good that was really popular at the time, and is also quite popular now too, is bunting. You might have some lying around, but it's also very easy to make. I've put a link in the description below if you're not sure what I'm talking about. At the end of a performance, the audience want to show the performers how much they've enjoyed it, so they'll give them a massive round of applause. And this is where the performers take their bows. When you're doing your rehearsals, it's really important to practice the bows too, because otherwise it can look a little bit messy. So all that's left now is for you to choose a day and a time And invite your audience. Have a think about recording your performance too. So if people can't make it on the day, they still get to see your fantastic show. I have loved working with you and I feel really, really proud of you, and you should feel proud of yourselves too. So give yourselves a big pat on the back and say, well done me. Have fun. Break a leg? Not really. That means good luck in the theatre world. And hopefully I'll see you all again soon. If you've made it this far, whether you've already performed or you're about to perform, I just want to say a really, really big thank you on behalf of the children in the music service. We all know how important it is for the children to be able to have those opportunities to show what they can do and to present in front of other people, and the immeasurable impact that has on their self-confidence, their self-esteem and a myriad other things. But we also know how much planning and preparation and hard work goes into even the smallest, most informal performance. So again, thank you very much. And of course, we would love to see them. So please, if you do get a chance to film any of the performances, we'd love to see some of the footage, no matter how short and sweet the clips are. So if you tweet your clips, don't forget to include us. The Sky Music Hub address is included in the description below, and use the hashtag #GetInTune.